tuning in to Morning Motivations with Dan Stratton. I'm down at the Jersey Shore, been out in the sun. I also got a haircut, so you may not even recognize me, but it's great to be with you again this morning. And I want to encourage you to continue to call in and connect, ask your questions, make your comments, and really create a dialogue, which is really what I'm hoping for. I always try to build teams wherever I go. One of the reasons why people don't get ahead or truly find the open door or the resources that they need to get that break, to get something good to happen for them, is because they don't proactively connect. So I'm trying to create a space where we can begin a dialogue, get to know each other, so we can mutually connect each other to resources, share our spheres of influence, our mind maps, if you will, the things that we're thankful for, the people in our lives, so that we can begin to help one another. You know, of course, you have to build trust before you start sharing resources, but that's where the conversation begins, the dialogue begins, the purposeful walking side by side, step by step, as you begin to move these things forward. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and something, honestly, I'm not that great at, but I want to talk about it nonetheless because it's absolutely essential. And it's the art of asking for help. The art of asking for help. I always tell this simple story. It's a sports metaphor or a sports illustration. I played sports. I played sports in high school. I played sports in college, played a little semi-pro. I had a lot of fun in my life. I still like to play golf. I still like to do all those different things. In fact, just recently I had a hole-in-one, which is pretty cool. It's pretty exciting to get a hole-in-one. Never had one before, and so it was exciting for that to happen. I had it at Knickerbocker Country Club, hole number 11. It was 165 yards, pin placement, and I used a 6-iron, put it past the hole, and spun it back into the hole, which is pretty darn cool. And so just telling you that. But I want to tell you today that asking for help is essential. I wrote a book not long ago called Very Few Fathers, and there's 12 simple thoughts to help you to organize your thinking and help you to coordinate your decision-making processes, making sure that you cross every T and dot every I. And so the first one is we win, let's play. You would never start something if you didn't think you were going to be victorious. So the first one is we win, let's play. But then the second one is a little bit of humble pie, if you will. And it's, we are all called to do great things, but none of us can do it by ourselves. And that's an important principle, which brings me now to the sports metaphor. When I was in high school, a lot of times, almost every game, I would get tasked with either guarding the other team's top scorer or one of their best players that did something that had to be shut down in some way. But when I would have to cover the best player or the best scorer on that given night or that given day, you had to have a little bit of humility about you. Usually the player was an extremely gifted athlete, a good shooter, could drive well, was quick, and had a good first step, all the different things that you had to be careful for. And one of the reasons that I would get picked to cover him was because I was willing to ask for help. And in basketball, when you know you're getting beat, when he puts a move on you and you know before anybody else does that you're going to get beaten. If you don't know, then what happens is you end up fouling. You end up fouling out of the game. You try to make it up, but you're already beat. He's already beat you. That first move, that first step, he's been able to get around you or get past you enough so that the only way you can stop him is if you physically, foul him or in some way. And it was such a profound thing that in games, when we played very, very good teams, a lot of kids who were non-athletes would come to the games. And I especially remember the younger kids, like when I was a senior and I would get these jobs and we'd be in the game and I'd be in the middle of the game and the gym's quiet and, we're playing, we're down on the floor, even though there were a lot of people in the gym, at tense times, the gym is quiet and here is one of the starters, one of the players that the kids looked up to. And in the first quarter, I probably yelled help 10 times. And then the second quarter the same, and throughout the game I was yelling help over and over and over and over again. So we won the game, which was great because we were a better team overall, but they had this one guy and I kept needing help. It was hilarious. So the next morning in school, it must have been a Tuesday night game, so the next morning in school, all the younger kids, athletes and non-athletes, were just, I'd go down the hall and they were all yelling, help, teasing me. There's help. My new nickname was help, help, help. And so it's important that if you want to be successful, if you want to get the tougher assignments, if you want to take on bigger fish, bigger projects, bigger things, then you've got to be willing to ask for help. You've got to be aware that asking for help can lead you to great success. Knowing where you're weak, knowing where you're strong, knowing when you're in over your head, and knowing when you can study enough or quick enough, pick something up to do the task yourself. Too often leaders, too often managers, too often dads don't ask for help, and what happens is once they're beat, they double down in their weakness and they get hurt. They do something worse than by just getting beat. And when they should have asked for help, they don't ask for help. People do this when they get injured. They don't ask for help. They try to hide their injuries at work. They try to hide their mental health issues when they get offended or betrayed or something. They don't ask for help. They don't reach out. They don't know they're beat. And so it's important for us as leaders who are listening to teachings like this to be looking for people that are in a little over their head and helping them without humiliating them or being condescending to them. We have to help them to ask for help. Help them to find a class. Help them to find a person to give them advice, to direct them, to train them, to help them in some way to do that. So asking for help requires a little bit of, I called it humility before. I would even call it a little bit of grace. Forgiveness really is a word that I would use in a sense, because initially we're a little embarrassed when we put ourselves in a situation where we're not strong enough, we're not smart enough, we're not trained well enough, and yet we want to do it. We want to do the job. We want to do it. We're not talented enough. And so I like to use the line, I don't have to be a dentist if I know one. I don't have to be a lawyer if I know one. I don't even have to have money if I know people who do have money. And so I don't have to apologize for not having money, because if I have relationships and if I've helped them in the past, then I can ask them for help in the situation that I'm in. And so you learn by giving yourself to your own gift. You do a little barter system, right? You get good at something, somebody's going to ask you to help them. And then when the time comes when they're good at something that you need help for, you can ask them. And sometimes it's not skill, sometimes it's an introduction. They may have access to a group of people or access to a client base. They may work in a different field with a different product, but that product may be complementary to your product. And so you can begin to talk about it, and it's not really competition. Their client needs your product and their product. And so the more you interact, and the more you interact with humility, the more people are going to be responsive in a positive way to helping you. And if you try to hide it, you'll ask for help late, or you won't ask for help at all, and then you'll exacerbate the problem and you'll get hurt. And using the example that I gave you, you'll foul out and you may get yourself disqualified and you will not succeed. So I'm using a new service And the first service only allowed 10 minutes, and we want to do at least a 15-minute video. So thank you for sticking with us. It's awesome that you're here today, and we appreciate you. Again, don't forget to ask your questions or to touch base or make a comment, even if there's something an experience that you've had, or a situation where you've learned some things about asking for help, or a situation that you might want to warn us about when asking for help hurts rather than helps. So feel free to pipe in there. So I was just talking about sometimes we get ourselves in a situation and we don't ask for help, or we ask for help too late, or we don't even know really. Here's the important point I want to make. We don't know how to ask for help. We don't know where to go to get help. And that's where, asking for help requires a little more than a Google search. It requires a regular conversation. I know friends of mine who have struggled. They've gotten a doctor's diagnosis, okay, that's cancerous maybe, or troubling at least. And they're working with a doctor, and they'll come to me and they'll say, my doctor says this is what I'm going to do. I said, well, make sure that you get out there and you get a second opinion, and make sure that when you go to get a second opinion, that you're going somewhere that has good reviews, a place that can actually help you, and that they have no other motive than to see you successfully healed or successfully treated in some way. And then generally they'll say, well, where do I go for that? And then I will help them in a search. If they're local to me, that's one thing. If they're not local to me, then I'll make a phone call to somebody in their area or their region, and they'll move. If the person that I'm speaking to has contacts of their own, yet they're a little bit, ashamed, afraid. They don't want people knowing that they're outreaching. Sometimes I'll make a call on their behalf. And that really helps people in a lot of ways. So you have to learn how to help people who know how to help. Not everybody knows how to help. And they also, a lot of people don't help because they figure they have to, they have to be the full resource, that they have to, write the check. They have to, be around all the time. In fact, the best helpers are the ones who are the most humble, because they just point you in the direction of the information. They stay with you to make sure that you get what you need, but at the same time, they don't feel like they have to be an expert in everything. And so they become facilitators. They become, guidelines and guideposts, guides in life. And so asking for help is something that we all need to get better at. I know I do. I don't always know when I'm in over my head. Sometimes I think I can handle things that I can't. And so it's important that we all kind of think about this today. All of us are trying to achieve great things. None of us can do it alone. I always remind people that there's no such thing as a second-class citizen, which means you should never feel that you're wasting somebody's time, because true helpers like to help. They like to be asked. They like to be given the opportunity to serve, to help, and to solve problems. So you're really in some kind of a nicely, twisted way or backward way. You're actually doing them a favor by asking them to help, by asking them to be who they are. So I want to thank you once again. Hopefully this two-parted video doesn't throw you off. I really want to encourage you to ask us for help. We've got a great network. We've got a great group of people. So whatever it is that you're trying to, solve, get through, build, whatever it is, you can do it. But I guarantee you can't do it alone. And you definitely can't do it if you don't ask for help. I'm going to tell you, asking for help is almost daily. You need to be asking for help almost every day. I ask God for help every single day. And a lot of times when I ask him, he'll point me to people. He'll point me to different people with different strengths, different resources, different training. And that really helps me on a regular basis. I've learned a lot in my life. And one of the things I've really counted on, it's another one-liner, don't get mad at me, but it's I'm not that smart, right? But then I've learned also, so that I don't disqualify myself, neither is anyone else. Nobody is an expert in every area. And we all have that reciprocal ability to barter our strengths. We all have strengths. And some of our strengths are just kindness and generosity and hospitality and joy. And you would be amazed at what a bargaining chip that is. So I want to thank you for tuning in. Keep tuning in on a regular basis, and we'll keep putting these out. And we want to get to know you. We want to build a team of helpers. We want to build a team of problem solvers. And we've already built teams, but we're always recruiting. So hopefully you want to be part of this team. Yahweh bless you. God bless you. Have an awesome day.